Did you guys know that we are now live on Apple Podcasts? Check us out. Well,
What did you guys do this week?
worked.
Ah, how unusual.
Yeah.
Same old, guys. Same old. Work, volleyball, and I don't know what else is happening besides.
That's pretty much all that's happened so far.
Well, you know, it warmed up a little bit today, so you guys won't be freezing about the cold.
It did.
Yeah.
It's like, 0 degrees today or something?
Yes. That's why it's all messy out there.
Sure is.
Driving around in Slurpees.
Gonna wash the vehicle soon.
What's the point? Yeah, when it gets cold again.
Mm-hmm.
No point in doing it now.
Hey, did you put any new holes in your wall, Josh?
Not yet. I did some sanding, and I picked some colors for the walls that when they get painted.
Oh.
So that's what's gonna happen next.
Are you going to paint them leak spec colors?
No.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color.
Green, it is a beautiful color. We love the teal here. Teal is the best color.
Oh, boy.
It is
He's
the
accordioning.
best.
Put your hands down.
Well, I got sad news for you guys, though.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
It's mostly sad for me.
Oh, no.
One of my favorite places for the last decade or so, I guess, that they've been open. PV Mart, you guys. Have you shopped at the PV Mart such as I have?
I mean, I haven't personally speaking, but I know
I've
it's a
been
good
in there.
It's like a farm store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's a Josh store.
PV Mart started here in Winnipeg and is closing down all of its stores across Canada, I'm hearing.
All of
90
them.
plus stores or something like that.
That's insane.
Does-
Did they say as to why?
Financial pressures and stuff. They weren't doing too good.
Does that
you know.
make you feel peeved?
Listen, I bought nice Western
I'm
boots
sorry.
there.
I apologize
bought
to everyone.
jeans there. I bought lots of tools there. It's right across from the other great store, the Princess Auto.
Stop doing this.
You guys, I have my 2 first stores are gonna be. I don't know what's gonna happen. You guys, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to go to Home Depot like a regular old Joe Blow.
No, you don't have to.
I don't have a farm store to go to. I'm gonna
there's
have to
still
go
room,
out to, but it's not a farm store with odds and ends stuff that I could just go and rummage around. It's like, it was just great. And I got Western boots there. I mean, you guys probably don't wear Western boots. I'm the only guy probably around here in this parts.
What do we wear? Central boots?
Yeah, Eastern
I
boots.
even wear boots.
Eastern
Yeah.
boots.
Eastern.
It's like that Eastern plant that's always at the lake.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, it's PV Mart's been around for a while. They're closing down all their stores. It's unfortunate. It's a nice Winnipeg-based, or not Winnipeg, started, but
Isn't it starting in Alberta?
Canada-based. Is
Oh.
it Alberta?
I was Alberta based. I could be wrong.
I thought it was Ontario, so apparently we have no idea.
Well, you can pull up the article, Michael Lee, and read through it and tell us there. But the point of the matter is, it was nice to have another store, franchise store, chain, Canadian-owned across the country to compete with other big box companies. I just kind of gonna miss it. Like, the prices weren't great, but I'd still shop there because they had good quality stuff all the time.
Oh, this man is right. The company was founded in Winnipeg in 1967
There you go.
as a National Farmer Way Stores.
I think they moved their head office somewhere else, didn't they?
It's
not
hard
here.
It's not. The head office is definitely not here.
Yeah, I don't know, you guys. I like the store. It's unfortunate. I don't know where you guys like to shop. Under Armour and where else?
I mean, I like the Princess Auto.
The Princess Auto is a great store. Every farmer will agree. I go there Tuesday mornings when the sales start, you guys. Coffee is nice and hot. Everybody's there. I don't know why they're not at work, but also I'm not usually at work either when it's good sales, and I have to show
So
up.
you do know why they're not at work. I have some good news for you,
The
Josh.
deals are there.
They're going to build a big-ass Princess Auto
Yeah, they sure are.
right near where that PV Mart is going away.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. Is it going to be like is that a coffee place going to be in there too?
Empty cup?
Not Empty Cup.
I don't know if it'll be in there. I mean,
Is it called Empty Cup? I haven't gone for the coffee there.
It's called Empty Cup.
Okay.
No clue.
Yeah, Empty Cup. He's right. Adam's been there. He says I have to go there and I don't listen to him. I'm like, what does Adam know?
Not very much.
I'm like his lady there, you know. He says something where it's like, let's just
We don't
ignore
want
what
to
he
get
says.
banned.
And I'm not saying anything bad. Just saying that sometimes when a lady's guy like Adam says something, she's like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I already think I'm right. And then, you know.
But then if somebody else,
says it,
what I
they're
said.
like, oh, I am going to listen to them.
and often then it will get told back to me, like it's some brilliant statement that I didn't already say.
Listen, it's not an uncommon experience that happens. They just don't listen to you because you always talk all the time in your comment. You're always there.
That's true. I do talk a lot.
Yeah, and they're like, he's just running his mouth again. Might as well just go out of your YouTube channel, Adam, and get a bunch of subscribers because you're going to just jibber jabber there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You get used to it. That's normal.
Yep, it is normal.
It's fine.
Wow. When's that new Princess Auto supposed to be built, though?
I don't know.
It's a couple of years out, I think.
You might have to
it's
Google
still-
that.
Pretty sure it's a couple of years out still.
Well, yeah. I think they've acquired the land.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done much more than that. And then I guess the old Princess Auto that's also right there will be. I don't know. Who knows what they'll do with that
I'm thinking
building?
of that building, yeah.
And then their head office is right beside it. Are they just gonna like
Spirit
buy
Halloween.
that for sure?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I think it was in that building once that empty cup is in,
Was it?
right beside them.
Yeah, maybe. It was at the Bianca Moore's place one time.
It's been
It's been everywhere.
Spirit Halloween in
Yeah.
every strip mall.
So here we go, guys.
What's the hurdle? One
Well,
more
I think
hurdle.
they had. This is back in December. They're talking about this, but they were saying they're one step closer to it.
Like they've gone through one more hurdle.
Yeah,
Over it.
Proposal will now be proceed to a final vote by City Council.
So they'll approve it because nothing good is in that area.
So
Yeah,
the new
well, it's right
store.
by a
Except my
railway.
gym that I go to that's right next to the Princess Auto
Yeah.
and the PV Mart
It all
and that
seems
new
the
restaurant
same.
Bell's. So I'll be living over there pretty soon, but they're closing down the PV, so whatever.
Should we just rent that PV Martin and record this podcast there?
That's
You
what
could
we'll
just do
do.
that.
It's a huge place to rent to have a podcast.
I mean,
It'll be echoing for
I was gonna
sure.
say, yeah, here you go. The new store planned for a mostly vacant property on Panet Road in Elmwood, 105,000 square feet, and include 503 parking spaces and 46 bicycle stalls.
That's a lot of parking
That
spaces.
is huge.
Well,
Good.
That's awesome.
We know one guy who will be in
Tuesday
those
morning.
parking spots.
Why Tuesday morning?
That's when the sales start for some reason
okay.
at Princess.
All right, well, good for the Princess Auto. It's going to be coming here, and it's going to change, hopefully, some things for the good in Winnipeg. I mean, we add some more, jobs in that area, I guess you could say, with a bigger store.
Probably.
That'd be nice. So, something that's not nice, though. How do you guys think how Trump did in his first week as president?
I don't know. You know how it is in the beginning of all those presidencies. Like sign a bunch of those executive orders, and then you see what's going to actually stick. I don't know. Has it been nice or not nice, guys? I don't really know on 1 week.
Well, I mean, it depends on
Your belief system?
your
Yeah.
viewpoints on stuff. I mean, he's done a lot of things that a lot of people have probably been pushing for a while that tend to be more
Those tariffs haven't
Right.
come in yet. That's a good thing.
February
The
1st.
very first, though, but he was only threatening, I thought.
So far, that seems to be what it is.
Yeah.
And it had to do with us, like Canada as a whole, doing something about, I think he said the immigration and the drug problem.
That's what he's been saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also, like, people are trying to interpret it exactly what he wants, right? Because it's not clear. It changes a lot. So some people seem to think that he just literally likes tariffs and wants to have some.
Well, I mean, I think,
That's
correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but wasn't there something about a plane that was sent to Colombia that got sent back or something like that?
They wouldn't let their military planes
Correct.
land.
Yeah.
And then
then
he's
he,
threatened
like-
tariffs on them.
He already did. Didn't he say it was like 25%?
Yeah,
and then
that's what I said. He
in a
threatened
week
them.
it'd be like 50% or something like that?
Yeah.
And like you
Insane.
said, he threatens them, and
Yeah.
then they conceded and let
they
the planes
capitulated,
land.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes he like runs his mouth and he's like a big bull in a china shop thing, and then people react to him, and that's how it is with that, especially when you have American power.
Well, he's already he's been threatening Canada for a while. He's already gotten pretty good response on the border security stuff.
Yeah, didn't the Bantalore border do something recently?
Yes, I was watching a video on that yesterday.
Yeah.
So it looks like some of Manitoba's conservation officers will be joining the security team at the border. So it'll be interesting to see the details on that. And Canada's leased some Black Hawk helicopters to help patrol the border as well. I think only 2 of them, but still, they're talking about spending more money on the border. It's probably a good thing to stop the drugs coming across.
And the guns.
I was
And the
going to
guns,
say,
yeah.
maybe from Canada's perspective, if we could stop having so many illegal guns smuggled in, that would be a nice bonus as well.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing for the Canadians, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a couple of Donald Trump's like most what's what I'm looking for, but like the most focused I think he's been on has been the gender topic, and then also immigration. Those are the two I've heard the most about in the news.
I don't know if he's super focused on the gender thing. I definitely think that
He just made it in the military, and that they'll just only recognize two genders, and all that rest of that stuff wouldn't be
And
proposed.
Olympics too, apparently.
Well, I mean, maybe for him, but like if the Olympics are here or whatever, but the Olympic Committee would decide on that, the IOC. But in terms of all the government affairs, yeah, it's just two genders right now.
But that's something the media is going to pick up on because they know it's a very polarizing issue. There's lots of people on both sides of that with strong opinions. So
Yeah.
absolutely, you're going to hear a lot about that one. But I don't know if that's what he's been talking, because like I know, like if I think he's been talking more about like the border stuff.
It'd be interesting to pull up some polling eventually to see how people actually favor that idea. But for the most part, the border stuff, like you're getting to, that's the real meat and bones, I think, of this first week, I would say.
Yeah.
Have we seen that Selena Gomez? Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't.
I don't know what she was crying about. She's a spoiled rich woman there.
That was weird.
Right?
Like, it was just her crying on an Instagram post about the deportation of what looked, I don't know, was it
People that look like her or whatever. Yeah.
the Mexican community, and then she
That's
said,
not
"I'm
her
so
people.
sorry, I can't
She's
help
a
you,"
rich-
or something like that. I'm like, what were you doing before he said this?
Is she getting deported?
I know,
Yeah.
Exactly.
but like,
don't
what
get
were
it.
you doing to help them before all this? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, if she was doing anything, we obviously didn't know about it. So.
Yeah, it was very confusing to watch that.
Yeah, I don't get what she's getting at either. It's like, I know it sucks that people came across the border. What's the word when they go through there are certain protocols to try to regulate if they can become a citizen or whatever. But the point I'm making here is
It's an application, isn't it?
legal applications. Like, we have a friend in the States who went there and got a green card or whatever it is, so a working visa, to live there now, right?
Yeah.
He did all that legally and took forever, months and months on end. And then other people just get to come in and maybe just start working or taking part in the system there. It's not fair to those guys like our friend that went down to the States. The thing is, if people are coming across illegally, that's technically a crime, and they should go back and do it legally. Change your actual immigration policies to allow people in better. Actually invest in immigration so that people can have more employees to file these immigration applications faster. Don't just let them in and then just mess up the whole system, and then also let all these criminals in, like actual criminals that are killing people and American citizens and then bringing across drugs. There was a shooting recently at the border where
In Vermont, yeah.
where they were the cartel was shooting against the border patrol.
Didn't they kill one of the American border agents?
I didn't hear about any actual hits in the article that I read. Maybe
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 it's a
that did
different
happen.
story.
But the point of the matter on that subject is, like, this violence and stuff shouldn't be accepted either. It's unfortunate that people come across in need, but a lot of people are not.
Yeah, it's important to clarify. You know, not everyone coming across the border is a criminal.
Well, technically, it is a crime.
True, but
Once you cross the
what I
border,
mean.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying there may not be a dangerous criminal, but once you commit a crime, you do become a criminal.
I suppose, but some people are just.
You're saying if I robbed a store because I was hungry, I wouldn't be a criminal because I was in need.
No, I'm saying if you left your country because someone was going to kill you.
Yep.
It might be illegal to cross the border, but it's probably better than dying.
It's definitely, I mean, regardless of the fact you could still become a criminal to cross the border, but you're doing it for a better reason. I understand what you're trying to say.
I think there's a technicality, though, and that's not a particularly helpful argument.
Regardless, you have
Irregardless?
refugee status for those exact reasons.
That's true, yes.
So there's already a carve out to try to help those people out.
Right. I just wanted to clarify that there are some people that are crossing.
Well, and that's
for reasons
the
like
point. We're saying try to prioritize those people first. You know, that's what this Trump has been focusing on, getting these people out of here. Because, I mean, they didn't do it the right way. And if you guys want real change, make it happen the proper legal way and make it efficient, I'd say.
The other hurdle to some people is how poorly those systems are
That's
working.
right.
They're very overwhelmed, and it can take a very long time for people to make their way through the system properly. And sometimes they're in a situation where they need to go now. So, and I mean, now what's going to happen with the threat of deportations in the U.S.? Are we going to have a bunch of people trying to get into Canada so they don't get deported?
Yeah.
I mean, these things will happen. So,
yeah, that definitely will bring refugee status or whatever immigration status is up in Canada.
So Canada is going to need to be ready for that kind of thing.
That's not going to happen.
No, Canada doesn't like to be ready for things.
Yeah.
Wait till they happen and then be sad about it. I don't know. There are more things Trump has been talking about, though.
Yeah.
Well, not so much talking about, but that he's done.
In this first
being
week.
talked about.
Yeah.
Another very controversial one that even has drawn the ire of some Republicans in the U.S. is the pardoning of all the people from the January 6th, invasion of the Capitol building.
Yeah.
So he pardoned 1,500 people there that were in prison or almost 1,500. I don't know the exact number, but
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
even I guess the point of contention, there were people that were assaulting police officers, and they were also pardoned, and that doesn't usually fly well with the more.
Did they go through the full list of people that were pardoned already?
Who's they?
Well, there's 1,500 people or whatever on this list. Are there any releases of people who in the news stories that have been pardoned that did more serious harm?
Yeah,
on that
apparently
day?
yes. Basically everyone. So this is the issue. The issue at hand is some of the people pardoned were like assaulting police officers.
So it's just
Allegedly.
Because if it's 1,500 people, I don't think there was 1,500 people that day. There was a lot of people that just walked
1,500
around.
people that were in jail.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying there was some people that went to jail who just showed up hours after all the mayhem occurred and just walked around and then got arrested and had to do time in jail.
Yeah, and that's quite unreasonable.
Well, I mean, in that case, it's understandable that those people should be pardoned.
That's not really. I guess that's not my point. Those people should be pardoned, but it's the idea that pardon everyone maybe is not the best way. Maybe we should take a look at what they did and see. The people, like you're saying, they were just walking around and they got thrown in jail. Yeah, you should probably pardon them and let them out. People who are like holding down cops and punching them in the head.
And smashing windows, yeah, I get it.
Maybe you don't just throw a random pardon their way. Maybe give that some more thought.
Yeah, Trump pardoned almost all the nearly 1,600 rioters
It's nearly 1,600. Okay.
who have been either convicted or arrested so far.
Oh, so not all of them were in jail then.
Yeah,
I sit corrected.
it's crazy to see this how many people have been pardoned because of all that.
I think my concern is that it seems like they just went, oh, they were involved in that, pfft, they're free. It's like, can we examine what they did and make sure that they should be free?
Yeah, well, it's government. They're not thorough. They just do blanket whatever. It's like the gun ban here in Canada. Just ban all these guns, even if it's a plinker rifle that shoots 22 LR and it barely does anything. And it's like...
Even if it's a bag of coffee that might reference the name of a gun.
Yep, just ban it. Not pay attention to the exact features and everything on that thing. Like, yeah, you're saying, do some little detail here and work and find out exactly what you want from this pardon. Find out who exactly did what. And say, these are the crimes that we specifically see and nothing greater. Mm-hmm. And then say, these people are pardoned. Because they don't need to write a blanket pardon. They could say, like, in the case of that Proud Boys guy who was the leader, he's...
like if he was inciting a riot, then maybe he shouldn't be pardoned.
Yeah, like maybe if that's the case, I mean, at least have a proper investigation on that matter.
But anyways, that was an important one, or an interesting topic, because there were both Democratic and Republican politicians that were maybe not totally pleased with how it was handled.
Yeah. rushed, but that's how these presidents do in the first week of their administration. They just put across all their ideals and they sign executive orders, and 4 years from now it's something else, and then there'll be a bunch more executive orders that change the course. And countries like Canada, yeah, I know, and countries like Canada will be like, what's this administration gonna do? What's this one gonna do? We never know. It's like when they were building a pipeline, and then Joe Biden showed up and said, no, we're not doing that anymore. And they're like, all right, a bunch of jobs and businesses are just going to be out in Canada.
Well, plus they had built a bunch of that pipeline. They had to unbuild it.
That's the
huge
point.
Waste of money.
They come in with these executive orders and F everything up.
Yeah, and apparently he signed the most in history, which seems like they say that every time a new president comes in. So I guess it's a case of trying to one-up the last guy.
Well, we've said it before, drill baby drill. That's what Trump is saying, and a lot of people in I was gonna say the Gulf of Mexico, but the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's been renamed.
You know why they did that?
Because he thought of it.
It's because there's legislation against drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you just rename it the Gulf of America.
Right.
And now just go ahead and drill. It's no longer the Gulf of Mexico. It no longer applies.
There you go.
Well, I mean, they'll take it to court. That's how we just discussed last podcast. They'll argue the semantics of it in court. But
well, if it makes it to their Supreme Court, it'll probably go Trump's way. Having
right side of the politics spectrum administration. Maybe that's good for Canadians again with that pipeline and the ideas they have there. What do you think about that, you guys?
Which pipeline? The Keystone?
Well, not the dead Keystone one, but you know how we have all that raw goods that goes to the Gulf of America and then gets processed?
I think I saw on Google Maps they renamed it already.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless it was a deep fake image. I don't know.
No, I heard that they were doing that too. It's just they're America. They lead the world for a reason, right?
Well, plus that top Google guy was at his inauguration. So
Gulf of America, baby. That's what it is now.
Did I just say inauguration?
Inauguration. But the thing is,
that's how you say that now.
If they're going to be more energy independent, because I think he signed one of those executive orders calling it the energy crisis or something. And they want to actually produce more oil and get better pricing for Americans and stuff.
Can they produce more oil though? Like aren't they like pretty much producing as much as they can? 13 million barrels a day. That's an ass ton of oil.
Are you talking about in terms of the demand or in terms of the reserves?
How much they're producing in the U.S. right now?
Can they drill more? Is that the question?
Yeah, like how much more reserves have they got?
Oh yeah, they can drill way more in the Gulf and in Alaska for sure. For sure.
Alaska, yeah. That'll be interesting. That could go poorly for the environment.
Well, it's barren wasteland in a lot of that place there too. So
fill it with oil.
Well, not fill it with oil. Drill responsibly. Maybe not frack specifically, but the point is,
I think the problem is
Canadians are worried about the tariffs to come. If we had more oil in the market, we could have a better leverage in bargaining with this Trump.
If we could sell our oil to someone other than the U.S.,
we could. We just don't because we can't refine it,
and we don't build pipelines to get it to the coast.
Yeah, well then, what can I say about that? The Americans wanting it is about the only way we can go because they're going to do that for us. So we got to get pipelines in the ground immediately, or we got to get refineries. But how long does it take for these refineries to build? Like a decade or something?
It's a slow process, but I think part of that is the problem that's been mentioned by certain politicians is the red tape around doing anything in Canada makes it take way longer than it should.
Is that what we want, though?
What?
Do we want more independence and economic development in that specific area? I know part of the country doesn't, but I know part of the country does.
I think that we need to develop our natural resources because we can help the rest of the world clean up their act.
Specifically in that Eastern European area where they the hostility with the amount of oil that other country was producing, we could have helped offload. But hey, whatever. We weren't prepared as Canadians to help the rest of the world, so That's why no one really thinks much of us.
That's right. And, you know, when was it Germany that came to Trudeau and said we want to buy.
They were
liquid
highly
natural
dependent
gas.
on Russian oil.
They want to buy liquid natural gas, and I think it was Germany and whatever.
It was.
some European. And Trudeau said there's no business case for that.
Because we have no supply.
Right. And who's the number one producer of natural gas in the world now? Fairly certain it's the U.S. There's no business case for it, but somehow the U.S. is making a killing at it. Canada's logic always makes no sense.
Well, specifically that extremist that's the prime minister right now.
Yes. Hanging on for dear life.
That's the way it is. Hopefully we get an election here and we get more common sense voted in. I would like to see that.
Common sense.
Common sense.
Is that common?
No.
It's the problem that it's not.
Polling would suggest that it probably is more common than we think.
Or we'd like it to
I don't
be.
know about that.
The Michael Lee disagrees.
Maybe referring to a specific party when I say common sense.
Nope, I don't see it.
I don't see
No,
it.
you don't see the correlation?
Don't see it. No,
Nope.
I think
there.
he's talking about the NDP.
Yeah. No. No.
It's not common sense sing?
No, that doesn't really flow
No.
like it's supposed to.
Okay.
Speaking of, I mean, what we have to do is kind of use this as our own kind of platform to really get engaged, right?
That's a good idea.
That's kind of the whole thing behind it. But speaking of platform, liberals are attacking their own. Did you hear about that? The whole scrapping the carbon tax and all that.
Oh yes, they seem to think that these leadership hopefuls are looking to
Yes, we've been talking about these guys.
just suddenly come in and be prime minister without being elected, which is interesting.
Happens here in Canada.
They suddenly think that the government before them, which is also them, had a lot of really bad ideas and implemented a lot of bad policy, and now they're all running their leadership campaigns on getting rid of a bunch of those policies. Josh,
Yeah.
what do you guys think about that?
I think I've touched on this before. They're all under the same blanket. They're all the same people. To make my point, Michael Lee, I think a certain other party leader has put out a little video about how this leading Mark Carney is more of the same. And take it away. Show him this video. I really enjoyed it.
Carney has
He likes
already
this
won
song.
major endorsements. More than 10 cabinet ministers backing him.
He says he would keep those ministers.
That I will be offering my support to Mark Carney.
I'm supporting Mark Carney.
So join us in supporting Mark Carney.
I would say I've known Mark for a long time as well. This is more than an endorsement. This is a partnership.
These are individuals. They make their own decisions.
So if you've seen that little watermark in the corner there, it was brought to you by Pierre Polyev.
I think that's really interesting, Josh. And do you know why I think that's interesting?
Because the marketing geniuses at the Conservative Party were prepared for this guy, and they are prepared for millennials who are a high voting percentage block.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all true, though.
No, that wasn't it at all. Here's why I think that's interesting. Since Mark Carney officially launched his bid, and actually way before, what was the big thing people were saying about him?
Carbon tax Carney.
He's an outsider.
He's an outsider.
He's not part of the liberal establishment.
Just like I said Donald Trump is.
Except that everyone in the liberal establishment seems to love the heck out of him, and he's their friend, and they all want to support him.
More of the same. Is it a good idea to vote for this guy if everybody agrees?
Justin 2.0?
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Just are they? So I heard a discussion on this from Pierre, because the liberal media was basically trying to say, you know what, that carbon tax thing is out. Nobody's gonna vote for that anymore. It's gonna not be based off of that anymore. His response to that was, yeah, okay, they might actually just freeze the carbon tax for a little while till we all forget about it, and with our microwave brains, we're gonna just eventually be like, whatever, we voted in Liberals again, and then they're going to just bring it back after a long freeze.
That's what Karina Gould is promising to do if she's leader.
That's right.
Not helpful. Not helpful.
So basically, if you're saying Karina Gould, House Commons leader, and outsider Mark Carney, Mark the carbon tax Carney.
Mark the carbon tax.
That is what he
that
goes
his
by
WWE name?
when he enters the Royal Rumble later this week, for sure. The point is, those liberals are still on the same page, basically saying, okay, they're just saying it for election reasoning. That's the only reason I think they're promising it. I think they're flat out lying to us. And if they were voted it again, it would just continue to be. Mike, do you agree with my assessment, my very skeptical assessment of these liberals? Or do you actually think that they would scrap it and we would never hear about carbon tax again? Because in my opinion, I always hear them talking about this carbon tax like it's going to save the planet.
You gonna let him answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, something to keep going. So I'm not sure my answer's gonna be yet.
He was just
You get me worked
right?
I
up.
was just getting in there.
Yeah.
That's all right. What do you think, Mike?
I really don't know. Like, I don't know if they're actually going to scrap this or not.
Okay.
Like, I'm really curious to see if they're just saying it to get back into office.
What's your leaning is what I'm asking. Do you have any trust in them?
You know, because of the way that Trudeau was kind of, booted out the door in a forceful way, it kind of gives me a little bit of hope for the future.
Okay.
And that maybe
I kind of
they're,
agree, yeah.
that maybe they're going to do something different now because they realize how bad they screwed up. But at the same time, who knows? Like, I have no clue. It's hard to put all your trust into them because you just look at what's been happening this past, how many years it's been, they've been in office.
Well, a lot of
It's
the
just
people,
one thing after the next.
yeah, a lot of the people they showed in that video are common liberals that probably are running again. They're not like some of the top liberals that have decided not to run. These are the common Liberal Party members and MPs. And if they're still there, how are they not going to continue the same policies?
They're establishment liberals, right? They voted for all these policies, and we've mostly talked about the carbon tax, but there's that capital gains one in there too.
Oh,
and
that doesn't apply to us yet.
It doesn't, but it does. It's very interesting. Or what Mark Carney is saying, for example, is he's going to he hasn't actually said he's going to get rid of the carbon tax. He's sort of implied he might do it because it's unpopular, not for any other reason. He's
As
also
a voting mechanism.
He's also on record saying the carbon tax is too low and needs to be, I think, 4 times higher than it is.
Correct.
So he says a lot of things, and who knows what we can actually believe. But we can believe one thing.
Politicians are liars.
Politicians are liars. And speaking of liars and politicians, there's Stephen Guilbeault,
your most favorite politician, I've been informed.
Complete lunatic of an environment minister. Shouldn't be anywhere near this file. He's no roads guy, right? We're not going to build any roads. So he is also on record saying if the Liberals got rid of the carbon tax, he would quit the party. And now he's on record supporting Mark Carney. So what does that math tell you there? Is Mark Carney going to get rid of this and have this guy quit? Or is he backing him because he already knows he won't get rid of the carbon tax?
And he trusts him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if that guy trusts Mark Carney, I just out the door, send him back to the UK or whatever the heck he lived before.
He can go be someone else's leader of their bank or something, whatever.
Send them to Jamaica. They're a Commonwealth country. Let them do something down there.
Should we really wish
We
that
don't want
upon
to.
the
We don't
Jamaican people? I think they deserve better.
Yeah.
Well, he's the best. He's going to tax the heck out of those Jamaicans. They'll love it.
But Chrystia Freeland, we haven't really taken a minute or two this week to talk about the lunacy that comes out of her mouth.
I watched a video of her. She looked like she was high as heck.
Yeah, well, she must be, because now she's telling us that this capital gains thing is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it?
It was good for the poor people, I was told. The less fortunate.
Who came out and announced that it was going to happen?
It's a terrible idea.
Chrystia Freeland. This is her thing. And now it's a bad idea, and she thinks we need to get rid of it. And to start getting rid of it, we will allow the CRA to enforce it, even though it's not backed by any legislation. This is all just sheer political brilliance.
Michael Lee wants to know what the carbon tax, the capital gains tax is, right, Michael Lee? Are you informed of this?
I am not informed of this, actually.
You don't have to worry about it right now because you're not quite paying it yet. Adam, do you want to explain it to us?
No, I want you to, because I only half understand who it applies to.
Fair enough.
Capital gains, half is what it is right now. It's 50% of the value of what can be considered a capital gain. So in the sense that your mom and dad pass away, they own a house, okay? That is just inheritance. You pay inheritance on that property, okay? First-time homes or single home, like, what do you call it? Not first-time homes, but like primary homes. Primary residence is actually what the tax says. It's basically, they don't have to pay tax, capital gains on that. But my parents, they have a cottage. If they were to go and had both of those things, the value of that cottage at 50%, I have to pay a tax on it. So let's just say that cottage was $200,000, right? We're going to have to pay a tax on the value of $100,000.
Yep.
Just because they have that property. Like, my parents were hardworking people their whole lives, and they scrapped by, and they managed in better times in this country to get a second property. Like, a lot of people can't even do that, and they've sold their second properties, right? It's a nice thing that another generation could enjoy, and the government's just like, let me get my hand in there and take it. Take a portion of it and make it unsustainable for you regular blue-collar, hardworking people.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if it's 50%,
yes,
of this theoretical $200,000 cottage,
yes,
does that mean that when you inherit this cottage, if you inherit this theoretical cottage, leak spec, does that mean the government gets $100,000 from you?
No.
What does it mean?
You pay a tax rate on that $100,000. So
that $100,000 is considered taxable, and then a percentage of that will be paid to the government based on other factors.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not great. Like, why are they paying that tax? It's
so the government can have more money.
Yeah. It's based off of like the few rich people here in Canada that might have more things that they could tax. But you know what? Just come up with a higher tax rate for those million and billionaires, or whatever you want to say. Like, why do they got to give it to the people who are in the regular tax brackets?
But going back to the capital gains tax is 50%, except now it's going to be 66%.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
They're taking a bigger chunk.
And they did not pass any legislation to back this up. So it's not in the law, and yet the CRA is doing it anyways.
I don't like that.
It shouldn't be allowed.
To the courts.
To the courts.
Yeah. I just don't think we need to have all these taxes. Like, you don't even want to look into the real numbers of what Canadians pay in taxes over the last, like, on an annual basis. Like,
it's well over 50% of your income.
Yeah, for the individual. I'm just saying the overall amounts that go to the Canadian government for funding, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't think they need that. They're not doing anything with it. Trump's complaining that they're not paying their 2%, make it 5%, he says. But the thing is, why is that all coming from off the backs of us? Why isn't it not just put into our economy so that Michael Lee can go and buy nice clothes at Under Armour whenever the heck he wants, rather than worrying about the frickin' taxes that he's getting taken off his paycheck,
Well, we wouldn't...
He already pays the sale tax. Why does he got to pay so much in the income tax first?
We wouldn't need to pay so much tax if we would allow our natural resources in this country to be ethically developed and, sold to other countries, as we've discussed.
Is that going to happen with these I can't even say that.
No more roads.
Can't even say Guibault's name there. But
Guibault says no more roads.
Yeah, what if
definitely
carbon
no
tax Carney gets a hold of the Liberal leadership?
More of what we have now. Nothing will get done. We will all just get more tax.
I like it, right?
It sounds like a great time. I want to talk about something else, because you touched on it for a moment. It was another thing that Trump has been making a big deal out of lately, is the NATO commitment. you touched on there. They've been asking.
That was when I said 2% to 5%.
2% to 5%. I'd like to just unpack that for a moment. For those that don't know, it's the commitment to members of NATO, or made by members of NATO, that they will spend at least 2% of their country's GDP on defense.
Yeah.
And Canada has been a perpetual laggard on this. We, I think at the moment we spend something around 1.4, 1.5%. And this is something that the U.S. has been not happy about for years. And it is one of Trump's points and one of the reasons that he's talking about tariffs and other stuff. So so Canada needs to get to our 2% commitment. And thus far, we have basically, on the world stage, our leaders have just told everyone that we're not going to do it, or that we can't do it, or that we'll do it by some ridiculous date that's 8 years from now. And the U.S. and other countries are just kind of getting tired of it. And as he was saying, 5% now Trump is floating the idea of a 5% commitment. So that would be quite challenging for a lot of NATO countries. But the commitment is supposed to be 2. He's talking about 5, and we're doing 1.5. This is just not a good situation for us. It makes us very vulnerable.
Yeah, I'd be curious to find out how many countries are pulling under 2%, just like Canada. Because as of when was it? Was it last year, Adam? They added 2 more countries to the NATO. Yep. 30 from 30 to 32.
2024, Sweden and Finland joined the alliance.
And Michael Lee has pulled it up for us here.
So here we can see all of the countries in the alliance. Does this include Sweden and Finland?
1.38%.
I see Finland there.
That's for Canada, so almost 1.4, like you said.
1.4.
Not even 1.4. We're lagging even more than you said.
Yeah. So
the UK is just over 2%.
On this map here, you can
France,
see all the different countries, and
Spain,
the darker blue,
Portugal,
is representing the countries
Italy,
that are paying their 2%.
Belgium.
And the lighter blue is showing us the countries like Canada that are not meeting their target. So we can see that.
So Finland came in at over that amount.
I don't think Sweden's being shown on this one quite yet, because Sweden, I think, joined last.
It took longer.
It took longer for them to join.
There was some issues, I think, with Turkey not being excited about them.
I think something like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, So you could. So there's 31 here. So you can see Canada up there, light blue, not good.
Like most of these countries, though.
Yeah, but
what?
Yes, for now. But a lot of them are increasing their spending, and they're getting towards that goal.
Okay, this is as of 2024. So yeah, he's picking on us, but is he picking on everybody fairly, or what is the situation?
He's picking on us because we are part of several of the issues he has, and this is just one of them. Mm-hmm. There's the trade deficit, which he mistakenly calls a subsidy for Canada. So that's another one that leads him to pick on us. There's the drugs and the border and all that. So it's just another tool in his toolbox for trying to, I guess, get certain concessions out of Canada. But
so you brought up this 2% spending, and are you in favor of getting to that 2%?
I think it's important that we do, because the world is becoming more and more dangerous. We have the conflict going on with Russia in Ukraine. We keep having flare-ups in the Middle East, and now the U.S. is being more hostile to us. We don't know what's going to happen, and we have this vast piece of land here in Canada that is very sparsely populated. It is full of all kinds of resources that the world is going to want, and even though we refuse, it seems so far, to
somebody might take some of it,
use them to our advantage. It looks delicious to these other countries that maybe don't have the same morals, and they may decide to take advantage of it, and we'd be not in a position to do much about it. Especially if the U.S. decided we were a bunch of freeloaders and they didn't want to defend us. We would be in a very bad spot.
Wouldn't it be better just to have an agreement with the U.S. on this front, rather than just being part of NATO? Like previous presidents and politicians have said that you never want to get, I think it was John F. Kennedy or someone, you don't want to get involved in Europe, because they're always fighting wars, and this NATO treaty ties us to Europe and the wars that are going on over there. If we just had an American and Canadian agreement for actual North America, is that better or not, or worse?
I mean, that's a point of discussion. I don't immediately have an opinion on it, but I'm not going to say NATO is a bad thing and we shouldn't all be part of it. But I do think, from a North American standpoint, it might make sense for us, all of us over here, to agree to protect this continent, right? Because
to spend more on our military endeavors,
right? And
that's what the 2% is.
Canada is a huge piece of that land. We should do our best to protect it.
Okay, so maybe there's negotiation with the Americans on that front, because discussing the NATO thing is a topic in and of itself. You wonder, like, we see all these countries that aren't doing it. Maybe we don't worry so much about the actual NATO agreement and come up with better, more direct communications and negotiations with the Americans and Donald Trump on this front.
But it doesn't really matter. You're going to end up with the same problem. He's going to say, you got to spend this much money. You have to do this much to defend this. And Canada's going to
He's got an ego on him. Maybe
he's talking about 5%, man.
I know, but I'm saying maybe if he had some new agreement that was named that came about during his administration between people actually in North America, he might look at that in more favor than an old.
But if Canada doesn't spend more on defense, he can't call that a win.
Oh yeah, for sure. They have to do the spending.
He's not going to sign any sort of agreement that doesn't involve Canada spending at least 2%.
Yeah,
and he'll probably try to push for more,
unless he gets some agreements for some big corporations like Lockheed Martin and that down in the States that goes directly to Canada, because those guys spend a hell of a lot of taxpayer money in the U.S. And if some of the Canadian taxpayer went to the American fronts, they might push the Trump administration on that front.
What was interesting on that map, though, if those numbers are accurate, the U.S. was only at 3.49%.
Well,
so numbers wise, they're nowhere near 5% themselves.
Yeah, well, like I said, he BS's a whole bunch of stuff until something sticks.
So basically, if we could get to 2% or something like that, probably it would do us a lot of favors when it comes to this tariff discussion that we have looped back to.
Yeah, and it might even do Canadians some good. Like if you're spending on military endeavors, like you can use the military. It doesn't mean you're fighting people. It means
disaster relief,
and all that kind of stuff.
There's lots of uses.
Northern exploration.
Yep,
that's something that the Americans specifically want. These are good things. Northern exploration is good for science. You can have the military taking scientists up and investigating the ice caps and any environmental situations. Like this could all be considered part of military spending, because you're investing in the boats that get you there, right? Mm-hmm. The boats and planes that fly you there, and the people. So basically, they become chartered transportation for other scientific development. I think this is a great idea if we actually start developing it. Has the Liberals or the Conservatives, or maybe Jagmeet Singh is going to bring us up to that 2% and spend on the military? Has those promises been made by any of those guys?
Yes, in fact.
What?
The Conservatives have said they're going to do it. Polyev said he's going to do it. And
should we believe them, because the previous Conservative government was far underneath that 2%?
Well, you should take anything any politician says with a grain of salt.
And there was a near an economic recession at the time of the last Conservative government that we were recovering from.
Well, we may be recovering from another one if we get some 25% tariffs on us.
Yeah, all the more reason to bring that to the table and negotiate with that big bad president in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can try to make the case that it'll take us even longer to get there if you tariff us and take away all our money.
Yeah, for sure.
So, there you go.
We thank you guys for listening and for watching. We would love it if you guys could like, share, and subscribe to our page. It really helps out the podcast. It really helps us out a lot. And if you made it to the end of this, we thank you. And we can't wait to see you guys next week.